We are in. Happy Thursday to ya. Kelly, how's it going? You just had some Chipotle. How's it going?
Megan, Wednesdays and Thursdays are crazy for me, so I just try to get it in when I can. Look, so far so good. Had a nice win with the Central Michigan, Western Michigan over last night. A good buddy of mine that does a lot of stuff with the MAC sent me that on Monday, so I bet it. And I just wanted everybody to win one of those sweet Maction hoodies. No, I don't have the hookup on those. I get so many texts every single time. It's like, I live in Indiana. I need one of those states. Then download the goddamn app and make a bet. Like, what do I look like?
Yeah,
The
no.
hoodie queen? I'm not it.
Speaking from someone who's given away quite a few, everyone assumes that I just have like hoodies coming from
boxes in your garage that you just, hey, come on by, guys. I'll get you one in an XL. No problem.
Yeah, for sure. No worries. Don't opt in. Don't put $50 on the money line. Just pick one up. Why would you do any of that? They're so pointless. No, guys.
Do you think I do this for my health, you guys? Yeah, it's been pretty funny, but I'm glad that we got that nice first win of the weekend. Oh, technically second, I guess, if we want to talk Monday Night Football. So hopefully keep it rolling into this week. I'm excited. There's a lot of games that I like, so we're gonna get to it.
My original card was like, I went through what I usually like to do is just first glance, I write down what I like just off top. And I had a ton of games, and then slowly but surely, which I thought of you so many times as I was crossing them off. Think wrong, think long, think wrong. But I feel like I thought so much about this particular card. We'll see how it plays out. Last week wasn't good for me, so we're hoping for a better week this week. And it's going to start out for me personally with the UL Raging Cajuns tonight, minus the 12.5. And I was very hesitant at first whenever I looked at this line because historically they've played close. Last year, UL was a 17-point favorite. This game ended in overtime with UL winning. But this UL team, I think, is just a little bit stronger this year. Levi Lewis is tearing up the field. They have a 4-headed monster for running back. Well, 3-headed today because one of them is down. And Napier seems like he is all focused on the prize here. I know it's a big spread. As I said, historically, this game's close. But I like UL minus the 12.5, which is now 13.5 over at the Barstool Sportsbook. I know probably a lot of sharp people are going to be on Georgia State, just as I said, because of UL's historical game with Georgia State. But I think Napier remembers last year. I don't think he wants to get caught with his pants down, and I like UL big today. What's your thoughts, Cal?
Are you concerned at all that Napier is maybe looking for a new head coach job, maybe at a bigger school? Are you concerned that maybe there's a little distraction that ULL may be leaving for a better conference? Maybe the AAC. I don't have a lot here on this game. I do think the line is a little high. I can't name one Georgia State player, so I can't sit here and tell you to take Georgia State. That being said, I kind of wonder if there's some distractions associated with this ULL team, and maybe they don't care that much. I know Troy is not necessarily a rival, but in-state nonetheless. Do you think that there's maybe a look-ahead spot here?
I mean, I personally don't feel like there is. I truly feel like Napier is taking this one game at a time. Like it seems like his total focus. I mean, I am on a show usually on Thursday mornings on a radio show. And after the Coach O news, 2 weeks ago now, they had Napier on the phone, and my friend asked him if he would be willing to, entertain the opportunity to be LSU's head coach. And what did Napier do? He hung up the phone right away because he wanted no part in any conversation having to do with anything besides ULL football. So,
you think that's why he hung up the phone? You don't think maybe he just didn't want to give away some details?
No, that was right before their 45-0 win over, what was it, Texas State last week, which I don't remember exactly if that was correct. But it was. I personally, again, I had a hard time playing this game because, again, as I said, it's a big number. But I think Napier is focused. I think this team is focused. I like it. I could end up, obviously, with my pants caught around my ankles. But I like it.
I feel like you've been waiting to use that one for a little while.
I have. Maybe it's just the tone of the day. I don't know. So, on to Oh, I wanted to ask you about this one just because the spread's so big. K-State and Kansas. I know people are definitely going to want your take on this one, so I had to ask you about it. It's 24.5. Kansas as the home dog here, Kelly. What are you making of this game? I know we haven't talked about it. I don't think you're playing it. I haven't seen you play much of any K-State this year.
I haven't. I played K-State versus Texas Tech, and I got really lucky to cover that one. Look, Kansas State, I need this team to win another game in order to get me over the season win total. They're going to win this game. Look, the last time K-State lost to KU was when Mark Mangino was head coach, and some guy I'd like to forget was the head coach of Kansas State. And that's why, because the precedent is set. You don't lose to KU. You don't lose to Kansas State in basketball if you're the University of Kansas, and vice versa. Memorial Stadium's in Lawrence. It's an absolute and utter dump. And no wonder they can't recruit. No wonder they can't get anybody there. And they can't sell tickets because their team's no good. And their team's been no good for a really long time. So who goes and scoops up all the cheap tickets? That's right, Kansas State fans. Because it's going to be an hour drive. You booze the whole way. You park. You walk out. K-State wins by double digits. You go home. Or you go party on Mass Street, which is also a great time. So shout out to Lawrence for having at least a good bar district. Right. That being said, I don't want to get involved in this game. Kansas State has a big game with Baylor on deck. Baylor is in 2 weeks. They have a big game. Now, just let me double check that now that you got me all screwed up. See, I wasn't ready to talk about this game. Megan said, Kelly, I want to talk about these games.
I had to ask this one.
I got to see who they have on deck just because.
One particular game.
Sorry, K-State has West Virginia on deck. So it actually isn't. I was mistaken. They have Baylor in 2 weeks. And if they were playing Baylor next week, I would say this is kind of a look ahead spot. But at home versus West Virginia noon kick, I don't think so. K-State needs to win that game as well for me to get 6 wins from them and them to become bowl eligible. But again, the precedence is set. Either you kick the shit out of KU or you're not good. And so we're going to see what happens. K-State should win this game by 31. Am I going to lay the 24? I'm not. Stupid things happen. KU has shown a couple of moments of greatness this year. We saw them look fantastic in the first quarter versus Coastal Carolina. And then what happened? We saw them look great in the first half versus Oklahoma. And then what happened? If anything, I think you take a look at the halftime line and maybe make some adjustments there, because we know KU cannot close out any football games. And basically they have a few trick plays up their sleeve. And once they use those, it's all she wrote.
So definitely readjust for KU after halftime. Speaking of readjusting, we have Hugh Freeze returning to Oxford this weekend. And I went ahead and I grabbed Liberty plus the 9.5. Ole Miss was so banged up last week. You had Corral, who right now is a game time decision. I talked to a friend that may or may not have a friend or a brother that plays for Ole Miss, and he said that definitely a game time decision. Looks like he's a go as of now. But if he's a go, how banged up is he going to be? But if he's not, are they going to keep him away for A&M next week? I feel like it's a sticky situation. I feel like there's a lot going on. I feel like Hugh wants this game probably way more than Kiffin. Maybe I'm wrong there. I just think that this Liberty team was Malachi Willis. Is that his name? Malik Willis. Been an absolute monster. Hopefully he's able to get something going against this not great Ole Miss defense. I like Liberty plus the 9.5, and I'm pulling for Hugh Freeze here.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Hugh Freeze too, Megan. Can you quantify revenge? Sure. You can say that it's worth something. I just don't know how to. And when somebody can tell me, oh, it's worth 2.5 points, then maybe we can talk about it in terms of the betting line, but we can't. We can only talk about it situationally. Right. And so that's my one issue there that I keep hearing all week. I really hope this doesn't end up being a public play, because I like Liberty a lot as well. And they are going to be in my 3-team money line parlay.
Let's go.
The reasoning why, though, is more of a play against Ole Miss. What happened last week? Ole Miss off a hard-fought game. Now who does Ole Miss have on deck? That's right, our good friend Casey Smith's Aggies. Are they looking ahead here? Maybe not. I mean, Liberty has been just putting the absolute pounding on these terrible teams, but they've been double-digit favorites in every single game. It's not like Liberty's not doing what they're supposed to be doing. This team is supposed to be beating up on these crappy teams.
Right.
That being said, can they get the win? And that's why I don't know if I'm going to put them in my parlay or not, because obviously that's my goal. I do think that 9.5, we did see some 10s earlier in the week. We may see some money come in on Ole Miss, but I think it's just too many points. I think this looks like a touchdown type spot where maybe Ole Miss kicks a last minute field goal, gets to survive. I'm not sold. Last week, I don't remember if it was you that retweeted it or somebody from Barstool retweeted that every single talking head had Ole Miss in the lower thirds. And I was walking into the Florida Georgia game and I saw that. And I just did the like eyeballs, Auburn -3. And Auburn was like one of those easy type plays for me. So I could see Ole Miss coming out and trying to, get a little bit of like angst out. But with A&M on deck, I don't think they really care. These SEC middle of like November, late November, everybody does it. And I hate it. I think it's so ridiculous that they schedule these teams. Usually it's UMass or somebody like equally egregious, the Citadel. Remember when Alabama was down at half to the Citadel a few years ago? So I feel like those are always kind of like supposed to be a bye week for these SEC schools. But let me tell you this right now. They don't want to overlook Liberty here. No. And I like I said, I want to put them in my parlay. I'm back and forth on it because I'm not sure that they can get the win in Oxford.
Yeah, I'm worried about the straight up win, but I do agree 9.5 is too many. As you said, some 10s yesterday. Last week, I loved Auburn, but I was so scared to talk about them or put them out because I felt like I couldn't make a good enough case. And I took it myself. I told Brandon Walker I was taking it. I didn't put it out, and I'm so mad at myself because that was just like I knew it. As I said, it's one of those games that live in your guts, and for some reason, Auburn has just kind of been in my gut all year. I'm playing them this week. Hopefully that doesn't blow up in my face.
I don't have a big opinion on them this week, Megan, but it was funny because I had them on my long list and I was like, I ended up passing, so they didn't make my card. But the second I saw that everybody thought Ole Miss was the right side, I knew that I probably had a winner and better jump on board.
Speaking of a winner, we have SMU Memphis. I have usually been on Memphis. I personally am not touching this game. Tanner Mordecai has been a stud. I, though, believe you are on the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah, Megan, I had them on my list yesterday, and then I got some confirmation from a sharp group that played them. That's why the line's now 4.5, not 5. They played them at 6, 5.5, 5. So there is some big money backing this team. And I do think it's because SMU is just a little overvalued here, right? You and I talked about this SMU team quite a bit this year. We both had them to beat TCU, which was great. And then I thought, hey, they've gotten a little too high here. And look, finally, they get that heartbreaking loss at Houston. What was that, last week? And look,
it was a pick 'em and they ended up losing.
Right? It was like that crazy late game, where Houston kind of snatched it from them after they had that huge kick return, right? So that kind of was like one of those just like where your win gets taken out of your sails. And I know that you were on the other side. I had no skin in the game. And I kind of wish it hadn't have happened. I kind of wish they would have squeaked by just a little bit because we would have got some better value here on Memphis. But usually when a team has their bubble burst, if you will, type of game like that, the next game, we kind of know how they come out. They're going to come out kind of flat, right? No, SMU wasn't national championship bound, but they probably are not going to get good as good of a bowl game here. And you've heard me use this adage before a few times where I say a team loses a game twice. They might not lose this game, but they may lose it against the spread. And that's why I like the 4.5 here with Memphis. I do think Memphis is worth the money line sprinkle. I do think Memphis is going to come out, and this is a big game for this Tigers team. And I think that they're going to shock a lot of people and be able to spring the upset at home.
All right. Upset for Memphis. Upset alert. Up next we have Wake Forest, UNC, and Wake Forest, that's +2.5. Crazy. I saw it +3 yesterday. It's now to 2.5. I would have assumed that move would be made. I lean Wake Forest here hard. I will not be playing it. I know you have a play on it though, so please tell the people what they should do with their money in this spot responsibly.
You know, Megan, I do feel like I'm late to the party here. I really do. This is kind of one of those spots. Remember, I've told you before that I like betting against ranked teams on the road, catching points, because it just looks so trappy. Now, UNC was -1.5. I was a little late to the party. It's kind of tough. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to give this one out yet, just because I do think that we may get a better number. I do think some money on Wake Forest is going to come in. This is a North Carolina team that's been very Jekyll and Hyde, right? We've seen them lose a couple of games they probably should have won. And that one that I was with you in Chicago, Georgia Tech, it was awesome to get a wire-to-wire winner by a double-digit underdog. Should North Carolina lose that game if they played 5 times? Probably not. 4 out of 5. I bet they win that game. There's just kind of a little bit of a spot here where I think Carolina is getting discredited for those losses, where Wake Forest is just getting nothing but hyped up. Now, that being said, I was against Wake Forest versus Army, and they put up almost 100 points.
That was such an insane box score to look at. It was 70-56. It was ridiculous.
Yes, it was ridiculous. And so I'm not sure if I want to step in front of Wake Forest just yet again, but just know that I have North Carolina circled. When I put up my list this week, you'll know if I end up on it.
All righty. That always makes me excited. I like to highlight the games. And by the way, I don't ask Kelly what her parlay is. That she keeps it to herself. And I've played one, and I believe it's one that you haven't hit, of course. So then that's what. How many episodes week? What, week 9?
Well, college football week 10. It's
10,
crazy.
10. So the fact that you've hit, it's been 4 now, right? I know you don't count the ones against the spread.
So I've hit 2 on the money line and 4 against the spread. Yes.
So 4 total, or
yes.
Okay. So yeah. So Kelly has hit 4 total in 10 weeks, which means if you followed all 4, if you followed all of them, you're set. You're good.
If you've been following my college football this year, we've had a really good year. The biggest thing is somebody asked me about those dogs, and I said I'm addicted to the plus money. And the reason why, Megan, is if you look at my card, a lot of weeks I go 6-4, 5-5, 7-3. There was a one weekend where I basically swept, but those are going to be far and few between. But those plus money underdogs, that plus 340, plus 185s, those really help keep you in the net positive throughout the year. Obviously, the parlays really help because they are so much more significant. But those little plus money underdogs, my dad asked me that. I don't understand why'd you play it on the money line? They lost. Well, yeah, but they had a shot to win. And if they have a shot to win, I want to have a little bit of that extra money on there because it really does help you long term. I went 2-2 on Sunday in the NFL, but I hit 2 outright underdogs. So I, log into my Barstool account and I'm like, cool. I still had a really good day.
So just heed that advice. You don't want to be a chalk eating weasel. Just look for your spots. Kelly does it best. I honestly, I would love to say otherwise, but I have not met another person that has seen the dogs like you have, especially this year. Move on to one that I kind of previewed, which is Auburn at A&M. I said I was on Auburn plus the 5. This is in the little 60-second bets video. This was one of my bets in that. I got crushed in that last week. Just got crushed last week in general. But I like Auburn here. If you look at A&M, what have they done besides that win against Alabama? And look, I tip my cap. I will credit whoever beats Alabama at whatever time. It's Alabama. However, this Auburn team played Arkansas, LSU, and Ole Miss before this game. And A&M, I believe, has someone – do they have someone on deck? Or maybe I'm –
Yeah, they play Ole Miss on deck.
Yeah, they have Ole Miss on deck. But this Auburn team is seasoned. Whatever the Calzada, is that his name for A&M? Besides that one miracle game against Alabama, what has he done? And look, I know that Bo Nix could easily slip back into the Nix of the past where he just completely screws me. But this Auburn team looks like they haven't been – I feel like A&M's gotten so much credit even in preseason, during the season. We've seen what they've done all year. We've talked about it a lot in the beginning of the year. But what we haven't talked about a lot is Auburn and how well they've just been moving. I feel like they're playing their best football right now. I feel like they're undervalued for whatever reason. Maybe they're not fun. Maybe with Malzahn gone, people just don't care as much. I don't know, but I like Auburn plus the 5, and I'm taking a little bit on the money line here too.
I don't hate that side, Megan. I'm with you on the Bo Nix. I feel like he is so 50-50 for me. And last week he was able to get it done. My only concern is A&M is coming off their bye week. And Auburn did put on a really nice clinic last week. I think this looks like a 3-point game. So if you're going to make me choose, I got to take the points with Auburn here. A&M should be able to get the win here at home. But you're right, with them having Ole Miss on deck, kind of really makes it more interesting.
No, and Kyle Field's a tough place to play. I get all of that. It's just, this Auburn team, I feel like it's just been kind of flying under the radar, and it's just been a little undervalued by bookmakers. That's
I would have to agree with you. Like 2 weeks in a row, they have really showed. But you're right. I do have my concerns with, am I going to get one of those 3 turnover type games from Bo Nix where I'm just laying in the fetal position in my living room going, why did I do this to myself? So I'm going to pass here, but I can completely see why you like Auburn on the side.
Next, I have a little back-to-back games here, and this is the one that I took in the 3 blondes, and that's Baylor minus the 6 at TCU. And usually whenever a coach gets fired, I like to back that team, but I don't think this TCU team has great talent. I don't think it was necessarily Gary Patterson that was running this team into the ground. I think maybe it was a group effort. I don't know that the Horned Frogs are good. Meanwhile, I know this Baylor team is good. I know who they've played. I've seen it. This offense, Dave Aranda, they should absolutely blow the doors off this TCU defense. I like Baylor a lot here, and maybe it's just because I've been so low on TCU all fucking year, but I can't see. I think Baylor could win by double digits, even at TCU.
So my problem is, Megan, that I'm not high on TCU.
Oh, and I know they have Oklahoma next week. I get that too. That look ahead spot.
That's what scares me. Coming off that win over Texas, that's what really scares me. I don't know if I'm going to put TCU in my parlay or not. I have 5 dogs. Just FYI, Georgia Tech, UTEP, Liberty, Hawaii, TCU. Those are my 5.
Hawaii too. I was tempted to take them, but I figured I would wait for a late night flyer if needed.
And yes, there you go. And I'm afraid that Hawaii can't win. I'm not saying TCU can win. Jerry Kill is going to be the interim head coach. If everybody remembers him from Minnesota, he had a very short stint in Manhattan, Kansas. That's probably why he went to go work for Gary Patterson. The reason why I bring that up is because he does have head coach experience here. He is defensive oriented, but my biggest concern is exactly what you said. Baylor off that Texas game. They've got Oklahoma on deck. The question is, was it Gary Patterson's fault? I don't actually think so, even though he kind of frustrated me and I went on a couple little tangents about him. I don't know who they're going to get in Fort Worth that's going to be better. When the line was 7, I had TCU written down. Now it's 6.5. That little reverse line movement's kind of giving me that nudge to say I think they're the right play here. And I hate to go against you in the 3 blondes because we all know that everybody's going to jump in the comments and get mad at me about it. But
it's happened before. It's okay.
And I think we're like 50-50 if you really want to know. I really do. I think if somebody asked me when you guys are head to head on the 3 blondes versus whatever, I want to say it's probably 3-3.
I would think so too. I would assume so. But look, I respect your opinion, and look, if you think the Horned Frogs can get it done, by all means, take the Horned Frogs. But I do not trust them. I don't trust the talent there. I think Baylor, obviously, I know that they have Oklahoma on deck, and Oklahoma is a huge look-ahead spot. But I think that they need this game they need to roll this game in order to go into play Oklahoma, I think, with some real confidence. Like they should have confidence. They've been playing well, but I feel like if they were to roll TCU here, especially this little Texas rivalry, they roll TCU and then they have some real positive energy to play Oklahoma with. I don't know. I really like Baylor in this spot personally.
And look, it could be very similar to the last time we were head to head, and I liked Iowa State, and you're on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State should have won the game outright. I think the line's just a little too high, but God, TCU 6-1 against the spread. Like I may hate myself.
But a lot of those times that you say that, it ends up working well for you in your favor somehow, some way. Like when we were talking about NFL dogs this week, I was like, oof, those are some
Oh, they're
ugly.
disgusting. Wait till tomorrow. Yeah, everybody's going to hate me. They're going to go, are you serious right now? You actually going to give out this garbage?
Speaking of hate you, let's see if you're a Patriot or not. Navy, Notre Dame. Who are you taking?
You know what's weird, Megan? I am definitely been accused of being a Notre Dame hater this year. I bet against this team.
I am a Notre Dame hater. So if anyone
I've said
has to say anything,
100
talk to me
times
about it.
that they're overvalued. And a couple of times I've been right. I was on North Carolina last week. The back door was wide open. And I even tweeted, I go, there is zero chance they're going to cover this game. And they didn't. And that sucked. But I do think Notre Dame's a little undervalued this week. Look, we're talking Navy. Just 2 weeks ago, I played Navy plus the points late on Saturday, like right before kick. My buddy was like, I love Navy here. And I'm going, oh God, you want me to step in front of Cincinnati, but fine. And I did. And it was no sweat, 27.5. So now we move the game to South Bend and the line is this short. It seems very, very fishy to me. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to touch this game, but it is like, what am I missing here? Where did we start to disrespect Notre Dame after I feel like we've been overvaluing them all season? So I'm gonna hard pass on this one and just cheer for Navy.
So she is a Patriot, everyone. For the record, she is a Patriot. I'm trying to find what you have next, and I have Tennessee, Kentucky. Did I pass that one up?
Yeah, and you know what, Megan? I think I'm going to end up passing on that game. I thought it would be worth talking about just because Kentucky off that Mississippi State loss last week. I liked Mississippi State. I was really not impressed with how poorly Kentucky played.
Yeah, they were awful last week. I definitely thought we were going to see some fight in the trenches. I thought it was going to be like a tough, like real grind out type of game, and it just kind of wasn't.
It wasn't. It was really lackluster. And so when Kentucky opened a 3.5-point favorite, I was going to take Tennessee. And when you were asking me about like some of the games on my list, like what we were looking at, I thought I was going to be on the Vols. The Vols are now a 1-point favorite. I think I'm too late to the party. So I'm going to end up passing on that one. I do lean towards Tennessee, but when you see that kind of significant line move, sometimes it's just better to be like, you know what? I'm late. It's okay. I'd rather personally make better bets than go chasing after a line that's moved 4.5 points.
I would agree with that. I personally have two more plays, which I have Fresno State. I took it at 5. It's now at 4.5 with even odds, even juice. I'm sorry. Which I think Fresno State's the better team on both sides of the ball. I've really liked backing them this year. Boise State, they beat BYU, which scares me, but you and I have spoken about BYU this year, and a couple of times that I've taken them, you're like, I don't know if they're as good as they're portrayed. I think they're a little overvalued, etc. So I think in this spot at home, Fresno State, they seem super fired up. I like to go look at like their Twitters and stuff and like read comments. Those are always really fun. Like UL today, everyone seems really excited for that game. But yeah, I like the Bulldogs here minus the 5. It's at 4.5 now. So if you like it, go grab it because you get a little reprieve from the hook, I guess. I guess that is the hook. I don't know. Then you have Tennessee, Kentucky, as you said, you don't feel like talking about because of the reverse line movement. And then lastly, I have, which I'm I don't want to say I'm fading them, but I took Texas against Iowa State this weekend. Again, I feel like they are just overvalued. We know this Texas team can explode. We know that they have a fantastic running back with Bijan Robinson. This one, I feel like I could get trapped here for sure. But again, I took it at 7. I bought it up 7. I'm just not impressed with this Iowa State team. I know that we should be. I know that they've been talked about. I know Sharps love this team. But I don't see it. I don't see them being 7-point favorites over too many people. And maybe that's stupid of me. Maybe I haven't watched enough of Brock Purdy and Iowa State, like good games. But I just think that you're giving Texas way too many points here.
Yeah, Megan, you and I were head to head. I was on Iowa State minus the touchdown. You were on Oklahoma State. And like I said, Oklahoma State should have won that game. And I considered Texas. I had Texas plus 6.5 written down on my long list. My problem is I cannot trust Texas for 4 quarters. And that is why I've bet against them several times this season and why I'm going to stay off of this game. I'm with you, though. I think the line is too high. It's Texas or pass for me, but I cannot trust them. So for my parlay, I'm like, I want a team that can win the game outright.
Right.
And that was, again, what I had said about Liberty. Can they win in Oxford? Can Texas win in Ames? I don't think so. And that's my beef. Can they cover almost a touchdown? Sure. Absolutely. I think we could see something very similar to what we saw in the Oklahoma State game. In the Oklahoma game, Texas gets out to an early lead and falls flat on their face in the second half. So keep an eye on this one at halftime. Texas is up. Maybe that's the time to buy on Iowa State if you like that side.
Speaking of your moneyline parlay, I believe this is our last college game before we move on to our NFL game tonight. UTSA, and UTEP. I know Chaps will probably not like this pick. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're all over the Miners here. I actually think 11.5 at home is a gift. It seems like a lot of points for this UTEP team who likes to keep it close. Whether they win outright or they keep it close, that's what they have been doing all year. And look, mind you, UTSA has been really solid. They've been blowing the doors off people. But, I mean, this is a double-digit dog at home. This, like, screams your name.
This does scream my name. And I had this team last week, Megan, and I thought they could go into FAU and win this game. And I text my buddy who's a coach over there, and I said, what are your thoughts? And he was like, oh, I don't know, UTSA on deck. And I think that was already after I'd already released the parlay. But I think that the problem is for me is that sometimes when teams get distracted, but I do know Dana Dimmel under the Bill Snyder coaching tree, that means his teams are very disciplined. And that's what we even saw. Even though UTEP got down there late in the third quarter, they came roaring back in the fourth and actually had a chance to spring the upset. They got the onside kick. It was an exciting fourth quarter of that game. And I think that's exactly what we see against UTSA. As you mentioned, UTSA has been great, but they went from being a 6.5-point underdog at Illinois to start the season to now being an 11-point road favorite. I'm not sure that they deserve that much respect. Look, El Paso should be rocking. I know a lot of my friends there thought they were going to get College Game Day because UTSA is that team, but unfortunately for them,
they wouldn't want College Game Day anyway. They would want the Barstool Sportsbook.
Exactly. But we do go to the same places because why? We want to prove that we can draw a bigger crowd because that's exactly what we do. But yes, I think this is way too many points here. I understand UTSA, the only undefeated teams left. Team. I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to really strongly consider putting them in my parlay because I do think that at home they will have an opportunity to win this game outright.
All right, so you heard it here. UTSA is goners. Just kidding. I don't want to mush that. But we'll move on to the NFL tonight. We have Colts, Jets. Boy, does that sound like a great game. Like,
your favorite, the Colts.
Right? It's so much fun. But I like the Colts tonight. Am I going to lay 10 with them? No. I did a parlay plus, and so obviously you have the Jets on a short week. You have Mike White, who all of a sudden he plays one game and his jersey's hanging in the Hall of Fame. Talk about newspaper clippings. Has the kid even had time to breathe this weekend? I don't know. However, there's no possible way, unless I don't know, he's got some of Michael Jordan's secret stuff, that he pulls out a game like he did against the Bengals last week. So that being said, I think the Colts will establish the run early. I think they'll control the clock. I think they'll shut Mike White down. I don't think that their defense is going to be able to do much. That being said, I like Mike White under a touchdown and a half. I like Mike White under 255.5 passing yards. Jonathan Taylor over 83.5 rushing yards. Anytime touchdown, Jonathan Taylor, which also Jersey Jerry, the signs pointed to Jonathan Taylor 2 touchdowns today. So I think we're good there. And then I also have the Colts minus 2.5. So that is my correlated parlay. And again, do I want to lay double digits with the Colts? Absolutely not. As I've mentioned many times, I am not a huge Carson Wentz girl. I'm just not. However, you think I'm going to like play the Jets? Like there's so many people out there that are so excited to put their money on the Jets today, and it's like I don't understand. Maybe maybe you can help me understand. Maybe you have money on the Jets. Maybe you have them plus the 10. That you can explain to me why anyone after one performance would want to put their money on the entire Jets team.
I'm not sure, but every single person that I've seen on social media has wanted to put their money on the Jets. I'm looking right now because I'm just curious to see if the I would say it's a 50-50 ticket count. It's not like the Jets are super public, but I do think a lot of people are backing Mike White. I do like those under props that you just mentioned because I'm going to be on the under, Megan. I think you're absolutely right. What you mentioned with Frank Wright was exactly what I said. His game plan was going to be against a couple of other teams, namely the San Francisco 49ers, the LA Rams, and that is to run the ball with Taylor, to control the clock. That's what he does, and that's what he's going to do tonight. So unless there's some crazy late rogue touchdown, I like the Colts. No, I will not be laying the 10.5, but that's the side I lean towards, and I like the under. I will be on the under tonight before kick. Right now, I believe it's 45 at the Barstool Sportsbook last I looked. Yes. Public's going to bet the over. That's just what they do. So it doesn't. I doubt it creeps down to 44.5.
Also, fun fact: Carson Wentz is a stellar 5-0 on Thursday primetime games and 4-1 against the spread.
And the Colts have been a great primetime bet. 7-1 in their last 8 primetime games. Look, I know we bash Carson a lot, but this Colts team I think has really started to come into form. You nailed the divisional underdog of the Titans beating them last week, even though Derrick Henry went out. I leaned towards the Colts -1 when the line moved to 2.5. I took it off my card. I didn't want anybody to lay a bad number there. And I'm really glad that I did because I ended up putting the Titans in a teaser after they hit 2.5. Everybody's happy. Overall, you guys get the hoodies. I get the teaser. I did lose the Colts -1, but was able to balance that one out. That being said, I think the Colts have a really nice bounce back spot here. In a spot where they're probably undervalued because of what the Jets just did last week and what happened to the Colts, overtime game, short week. I mean, there's tons of narratives. Wait till you turn on the TV and you hear the talking heads. Obviously, they're all going to pick the Colts tonight to win, but I'm curious to see who they have to cover.
I love how they, I will go and look and, it'll be so-and-so's record is 12-1. I'm like, wait, how? And then I'm like, oh, they're just picking who's going to win. They're not going against the spread.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a winner thing, right? They just want to know who's going to win the game. Well, that's fine. You can go lay 900 with the Colts. I'll pass.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm not going to be a weasel. So that's my parlay plus. Kelly leans the Colts, but she will be on the under. I've tweeted out my plays for college football for the week. I'm not sure if you have yet.
I have not yet, Megan. I'm going to spend the rest of this afternoon. It is my mom's birthday, so I got to take her to dinner in a few hours. So happy birthday to my mom, even though I know she's not watching. I'm far too vulgar on this show because I'm with you. No, I'm just far too vulgar in general. So you bring out the best to me. I'm going to spend a couple more hours working on this parlay. And it was really funny. A couple of weeks ago, a guy told me, stop putting out your parlay on Instagram on Thursdays. You only win when it's on Fridays. So I said, let's try this. And last week I waited till Friday. Sure enough. And he is correct. He is correct. Friday's the day. That doesn't mean that this Friday we're going to win. But I told our lovely producer, Jack, sorry, Jack, you got to wait till Fridays to get the video now. Unfortunately, that probably means less views. But maybe there's something to it. Maybe it's because I spent a few more hours on it. Maybe it's because of some weird, crazy coincidence. I don't know. But the parlay will be out tomorrow.
Okay, so Kelly will have her parlay out tomorrow. I have my picks out. Also, it's not out yet, but as I said, new merch this week for my merch promo.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I cannot wait. You should get one of those, as I said. And it'll be the Niners money line this week. I know we don't know for sure if Kyler's playing or not. This week was a tough one to find a money line on. At first, it was.
I like the Niners. I think they're the right side this week. You know, I love those divisional dogs. They opened as a 2.5-point underdog. They got moved. Look, Colt McCoy, I think I texted you this. Colt McCoy is a journeyman. He's been all over the friggin' place. He's going to be fine. I think you'd rather have Colt than a hurt Kyler, me personally, if you're a Cardinals fan. But I do think the Cardinals are just cruising right along. The whole world's going to win about the Cardinals. I think the Niners get the win for you, Megan.
Right. As I said last week before, I didn't even realize Kyler got hurt in the last part of the game because I'm fell asleep. But I was like, I'm gonna be all over the Cardinals. That's a lie. That was a straight up lie. I lied. So I like the Niners money line this week, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Whenever we are back here and Kelly puts out that sweet parlay. So y'all have a great Thursday. Go UL and go Colts.
Let's go under.
Oh yeah, and under.